Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling, well, a really fascinating and, let's be honest, complicated figure, Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just listing achievements here. Our goal is to go deep into the source material, biographies, interviews, those historical accounts, to trace his journey, from this awkward, bullied kid
Right.
to the industrial powerhouse he is today.
And our mission, really, is to get inside the mindset.
Right.
How did someone take that .com money
Yeah.
and instead of doing another software thing, just pivot completely, pouring like all of it into SpaceX and Tesla, super high-risk industrial stuff.
Right, the hardware.
Exactly. So this dive, it's about connecting those dots, personal stories, family history, even management flaws, and figuring out where that massive ambition comes from. And, crucially, how he pulls together these incredibly complex different fields.
Okay, so let's start with something kind of surprising from the sources. You picture this commanding figure, right? He's physically imposing, 6'1", really broad shoulders.
Yeah, descriptions often mention that.
Yet accounts say when he walks into a room, he can seem almost sheepish. Head down, quick handshake, wants to just sit down.
It really points to that internal world, doesn't it? That reserved exterior. But underneath, there's this intense, almost painful need for accuracy, cognitive precision.
Painful.
Yeah, the sources suggest he feels actual mental anguish over factual errors. It's like a physical discomfort for him if something isn't precise.
And that connects to his unique way of thinking, his cognitive wiring.
Totally. His own mother said even as a little kid, he'd just drift off, like completely in another world.
You couldn't reach him.
Apparently not. You could be yelling his name and he just wouldn't hear. Deep in thought.
Wow. And how does that translate into, engineering?
Well, it's fascinating. He describes his brain, his own words, as having something like a graphics chip.
A graphics chip?
Yeah. So he's not just thinking abstractly. He visualizes images, machines, parts, whole systems, and how they relate algorithmically, like with the clarity of CAD software.
Engineering drawing, basically.
Exactly. Produced by software, but in his head.
Okay, so you combine that visualization ability with this photographic memory he apparently had as a child, and you can see how he became what the sources call a fact factory.
Which almost inevitably turned him into a bit of a classic know-it-all.
Right. Not great for making friends, I imagine.
Not at all. And this leads us to these two really powerful, maybe conflicting forces shaping his approach to risk.
Okay, what are they?
Well, on one side, you've got this almost unbelievable family legacy, particularly his grandfather, Joshua Norman Haldeman.
His mother's father.
Right, a chiropractor really into self-reliance, kind of an eccentric character, but also an adventurer, a pilot.
Okay.
This guy flew a single-engine plane, get this, 22,000 miles, round trip, from Africa across the Med up to Scotland and Norway.
Wow, in a single-engine plane.
Yeah, and then another 30,000 miles to Australia. The stories Musk grew up hearing weren't just travel tales. They were about extreme risk-taking. They flew using, I love this detail,
What?
road maps instead of proper aerial maps.
You're kidding, road maps.
Traps.
That's beyond bold. That's almost reckless.
It definitely instills a different kind of baseline for what's considered risky, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's like the usual limits just don't apply. So that must have ingrained this maybe pathologically high tolerance for risk.
That's one side, yeah. This celebrated, almost manic, adventurous spirit. But then you contrast that sharply with the trauma he went through at school.
The bullying.
Yeah, and it wasn't just occasional teasing. The sources describe it as non-stop horrible bullying.
Okay.
For years.
Nonstop.
One really bad incident, he was apparently kicked down concrete stairs by a gang, hospitalized, badly hurt.
God, that's awful. And his home life wasn't great either.
The sources use the word awful for his home life, too. So South Africa, for him, felt like this constant pressure cooker. Like a prison, he apparently called it.
Okay, so connecting those two things.
Exactly. You mix that inherited extreme risk tolerance with this deep personal trauma, this feeling of being trapped. And you get this incredibly powerful engine for ambition. America wasn't just opportunity, it was escape. It was the only place big enough for his dreams, for this idea of collective enlightenment.
So the ambition was partly born out of just needing to escape, to control his environment.
I think that's a big part of it, yeah. A need to control an environment that had controlled and hurt him for so long.
Which takes us to his first big ventures, right? The .com crucible, Zip2, and PayPal. This was his management training ground. Learning the hard way.
Definitely learning the hard way. Zip2 is key here. Musk was mostly self-taught as a coder,
Okay.
and when they brought in professional engineers, they looked at his code and apparently called it hairballs.
Hairballs, meaning...
Brilliant in what it did, maybe, but structured terribly. Hard to work with.
Ah, and his reaction to that as a manager.
Pure impatience, really. It goes back to that need for precision we talked about.
Right.
His first instinct was just to jump in and fix other engineers' code himself. He said he got frustrated waiting for their stuff.
Oh, I can see how that would go down badly.
Terribly. The big problem was he'd often just do it without telling them. He'd rewrite their fucking code, as he put it later.
So he solved the technical problem.
But totally ignored the human side. He admitted later, I'd just go in and fix their fucking code, but realized I've made the person unproductive. It just wasn't a good way to go about things.
Yeah, undermining your own team. The software guy failed at the soft skills.
Initially, yes. But the core technical drive was there. Zip2 eventually sold to Compaq for $307 million.
And Musk got a decent chunk of that?
$22 million.
Mm.
And his very next move tells you a lot, psychologically. He immediately bought a McLaren F1, $1 million supercar.
Right. The ultimate .com statement piece. Drove it daily, parked it on the street.
Yeah, apparently sometimes with bird droppings on it. It wasn't just flash. It felt like a very public, I've arrived after maybe feeling invisible for years.
Okay, so then comes X.com, which becomes PayPal.
Well,
More conflict.
Oh, yeah. Much more intense.
Yeah.
This is where his drive really slams into established industries and internal politics.
The politics.
Big time. The sources call it an equivalent of a religious war inside the company.
Over what?
Technology choices. Basically, Microsoft versus Linux. Huge debates, while Musk is pushing everyone super hard to take on the banks.
Okay, sounds volatile.
And then came the climax. September 2000. Musk and his wife, Justine, finally take a honeymoon. Long overdue.
And while he's away, bad things happen.
Yep. While they're literally on the plane or just landed, the other executives delivered letters of no confidence to the board.
Seriously, a coup.
A full-on coup. He lands, finds out he's been ousted as CEO, replaced by Peter Thiel.
Wow, that must have been brutal, humiliating.
Absolutely a massive ego blow. But here's where that hyper-rationality kicks in again.
How so?
Instead of just storming off or trying to burn the place down, he showed what the sources call incredible restraint.
Restraint, even after being kicked out.
Yeah. He stayed on as a major shareholder, played the long game. He must have realized fighting it was pointless and being a large shareholder was still valuable.
Pragmatic, maybe?
Pragmatic, but requiring serious emotional control, right? And it paid off massively.
Yeah.
When eBay bought PayPal,
Yeah.
he walked away with $165 million, all because he could put that long-term goal ahead of the immediate anger or humiliation.
Okay, so that sets the stage for the really dramatic pivot. He's got what? Close to $200 million total from these exits?
Around $180 million post-tax, something like that.
Ah.
A huge amount.
And the motivation clearly isn't just more money at this point. Sources say even back in college he had this master plan.
That's right. Focused on 3 areas.
Yeah.
The internet, renewable energy, and space.
So after PayPal, he takes nearly all that money.
Yep, over $170 million.
And sinks it into physical stuff.
Yeah.
Rockets and cars. Atoms, not bits. Abandoning the Silicon Valley playbook entirely.
It looked like absolute madness to people in tech back then.
Career suicide, right.
That's what they call it. Software is scalable, relatively cheap. He chose industries needing huge factories, massive capital, dealing with physics, not just code. He went from the virtual to the very, very real.
Let's dig into the origins of those two companies then. SpaceX first.
Okay, SpaceX starts right after the PayPal sale, around his 30th birthday. Initially, believe it or not, it wasn't even about building rockets.
No, what was it?
He had this idea called Mars Oasis, basically a PR project. Send a small robotic greenhouse to Mars.
A greenhouse.
He had to land on Mars, grow plants, and get people excited about space again, re-inspire exploration.
Huh. So how did that turn into building rockets?
He needed a cheap rocket to send his greenhouse. So he went to Russia multiple times trying to buy refurbished ICBMs.
And that didn't go well.
Famously not. The Russians were dismissive, kind of insulted him, implied he was just a dot-com kid who couldn't afford it.
The famous meeting.
That's the one. He apparently got angry, pulled out a spreadsheet he'd made on the plane.
A spreadsheet?
Yeah, calculating the actual cost of the raw materials for a rocket. He basically flashed it at them, countered their price, and declared, I think we can build this rocket ourselves.
Wow. That's pure Haldeman-level confidence, right? Just deciding to build your own rockets because someone was rude.
It's that same DNA applied to aerospace. Just immense self-belief, and risk tolerance.
Okay, and at the same time, he gets involved with Tesla.
Pretty much simultaneously. He didn't found Tesla, but he was an early major investor and eventually took control. He was drawn in by guys like J.B. Straubel.
The one who built an electric Porsche.
Yeah, Straubel had built this electric Porsche conversion that set a drag race record. Musk saw the potential, his stated reason, tackling America's addiction to oil.
Again, not a business plan first, but a sort of moral mission.
Seems like it, starting from fundamental physics and a sense of necessity, not just market opportunity.
But this ambition, tackling two massive industries at once, it almost killed both companies, didn't it? Especially around the 2008 crisis.
Oh, absolutely. It was near death. Both companies were just hemorrhaging cash. SpaceX was burning something like $100,000 a day.
A day.
Per day. And remember, this was mostly his money initially. He'd put practically his entire fortune on the line.
So the stress must have been unbelievable.
Beyond immense. The sources say he was literally forced to choose, debating which company to let die to maybe save the other one. He was effectively broke. Personal money gone.
And that's when he pulled off that incredible bluff for Tesla's funding round, late 2008.
Exactly. Tesla needed $40 million to survive.
Yeah.
Desperately. Investors were balking because of the financial crisis.
So what did he do?
He bluffed. He told the investors he would personally fund the entire $40 million round himself if necessary.
But he didn't have the money.
No. He was planning to use money borrowed from SpaceX, which was also on the verge of collapse. It was this incredibly risky, high-stakes shell game. His absolute last card was his own self-belief, projected outwards.
It worked?
It worked. The bluff held. The investors came in. The deal closed on Christmas Eve 2008, literally hours before Tesla would have gone bankrupt.
Hours. Just ow.
And then, talk about timing. Right around then, September 2008, just before that final Tesla crunch, SpaceX finally succeeded.
After failed attempts.
3 previous failures, huge explosions. The 4th launch of the Falcon 1, it reached orbit. The first time ever a privately funded, liquid-fueled rocket had done that.
That must have been the moment things really changed.
Absolutely. That success, reaching orbit, shifted the global perception. He went from being this maybe crazy, polarizing .com guy
Right.
to someone who could actually deliver on these spectacular, seemingly impossible technical feats. It gave him credibility.
Yeah.
It probably saved both companies, ultimately.
Which paved the way for Tesla's big moment launching the Model S in 2012, the car that changed everything.
Yep. The Model S got the highest safety rating ever recorded at the time, called the automotive equivalent of the iPhone. Game changer.
So pulling it all together, what's the core capability here? The Musk gift, as the sources sometimes frame it.
It's that synthesis, right? Merging atoms and bits. He took the speed, the iteration, the problem-solving approach of a software developer and applied it directly to building physical things, to manufacturing. Think about it. Traditional aerospace might take 5 years between rocket versions. Musk pushed for changes like software updates.
Faster iteration, vertical integration.
Huge vertical integration,
Yeah.
making things in-house from scratch, their own alloys, their own chips eventually, new welding techniques, controlling the whole stack like a software company does.
So all those traits, the obsession with precision, the impatience, the things he learned the hard way at Zip2 and PayPal,
Yeah.
he just applied them to much, much bigger, harder problems. He's less like a typical CEO, maybe more like an Edison, an inventor, industrialist.
That's a really good comparison.
Yeah.
Applying that coder's mindset. Find the fundamental principle, rewrite the inefficient algorithm, but applying it to physics, to manufacturing, to cutting through decades of cost and bureaucracy in these old industries.
Okay, so we've traced the journey, the childhood trauma, that wild family legacy of risk, the brutal lessons from the dot-com boom and bust, developing this hyper-rational survival instinct under crushing pressure. What's the ultimate driver now? What keeps that relentless pace going?
I think the core conclusion you draw from the sources is that his biggest strength, operationally, is staying hyper-rational when everything's on fire.
Right, not panicking.
Exactly. Refusing to let short-term crises derail the long-term vision. He doesn't seem to view the world through, like, market trends or quarterly results first. He starts with fundamental physics, and what he sees is a moral imperative.
And that imperative, that's the final piece we need to leave people thinking about, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
His stated ultimate goal, the reason for SpaceX primarily, is making humanity a multi-planetary species. Because he genuinely seems to believe that staying on one planet makes us inherently self-limiting and imperil, existential risk. He's been saying this since he was young, apparently. It's not just a business goal for him.
It's a moral mission.
A moral mandate. as he seems to see it. Survival requires speed, requires pushing constantly. We need escape velocity, literally and metaphorically, and there's no time to waste.
So here's the thought to wrestle with. If everything, the difficult childhood, the huge risks, the management style, that hyper-rationality, if it's all genuinely directed at the single, almost cosmic goal of saving humanity, how does that frame the experience of the thousands of people working under incredible pressure to make it happen?
Right. Does that species-level justification make the intense deadlines, the demands, the burnout? Does it make it acceptable
Mm.
or necessary?
That tension between the grand vision and the human cost of achieving it, that's something to really think about.